Give us 1 second to make sure everyone is in from that waiting room. Okay, good. It looks like everyone has loaded through. So welcome everyone. From those of you who have been here before, we are the Marine Environmental Education Center. Welcome back, welcome back. We have been trying to do virtual programming since we are still closed, and a lot of different places are still closed. We want to make it as easy as possible, provide some really cool interactive things for people to learn about awesome marine science topics. So we are lucky enough to be working with the wonderful Whitney Crowder today. She is a Floridian who works with sea turtles. So she is actually the sea turtle coordinator and rehab facility marine turtle permit holder for Gumbo Limbo Nature Center, which is the most awesome place, really close by to us here near Hollywood Beach. They are a sea turtle rehab facility that we've worked closely with. And they are really, really good about helping out all of those sea turtles. So today she is going to tell us a little bit about what she does and Gumbo Limbo in general. If you guys have any questions, again, please make sure you are putting them in that chat. We're going to keep everyone muted just so you could hear Whitney more clearly. But if you have any issues, even if it's just a technical issue, throw it in the chat. Christina and I are both here to help facilitate if there's an issue. Otherwise, Whitney will answer all your questions at the end. So whenever you're ready, take it away, Whitney.
Did I share the right screen? Can you tell me that first?
Yeah, it looks perfect.
All right. Well, hey guys, my name is Whitney Crowder and I'm the coordinator and marine turtle permit holder for the Sea Turtle Rehabilitation Facility at Gumbo Limbo Nature Center. And I was first introduced to sea turtles in the early 2000s while working in the aquarium field and having been working ever since in the marine conservation field. And I'm excited to be here to talk to you all today about the history of our sea turtle conservation program at Gumbo Limbo, how this led to the opening of our sea turtle rehabilitation facility, and a topic that means a lot to me and why I got into the field in the first place, and that's human impacts on sea turtles and what we can do to minimize those impacts. So for those of you that aren't familiar with us, we are a nature center complex sitting on about 20 acres of one of the last undeveloped natural hammocks in Palm Beach County. We're a part of Red Reef Park, which is located on a barrier island between the Atlantic Ocean and the intercoastal waterways of Boca Raton. And we have a long line of sea turtle conservation history at Gumbo Limbo Nature Center. So in the early 1970s, that starts really the beginning phase of what would become about 50 years of ongoing sea turtle conservation work in Boca Raton, Florida. And during this time, nighttime public walks were given by our founder of our nature center to local students to teach them about the importance of marine conservation. And the city of Boca understood the importance of sea turtle conservation, and a plan was formed to try and preserve these 5 miles of beach and our 20 acres of our intracoastal hammock. So through about the 70s, 80s, and 90s, the sea turtle program at Gumbo Limbo would slowly continue to grow and improve. And from the 90s to about 2009, our conservation team was responsible for countless numbers of stranding events throughout our beaches and beyond. And all of this rich sea turtle conservation history leads us to about 2010, when we established our very first and very needed rehabilitation center at Gumbo Limbo Nature Center. So this is a question that for some reason we get quite often, and that's, well, why even save a sea turtle? Well, number one, they create jobs through ecotourism. And ecotourism kind of helps protect natural resources while producing jobs and improving the well-being of the local people through avenues such as dive centers, rehabilitation centers, nesting and hatchling programs, and these help make a personal connection with the environment through employment. And the second reason that I give people is that they play a vital role in the health of our oceans. So sea turtles, as many of you know, are keystone species. So if you lose that keystone in architecture, the whole wall would crumble. And this is the same for the role that sea turtles play in our ocean. They maintain seagrass beds, sponge and jellyfish populations, coral reefs, and even our beaches with the nutrients left behind from sea turtle nesting. And the last reason I give people is that they are an indicator species and they serve as a warning to climate crisis. So if we lose sea turtles, we really need to be taking a closer look at the rest of our environment because the world could be in big trouble. So after 50 years of sea turtle conservation work in our amazing city of Boca Raton, embracing the importance of saving sea turtles, Gumbo Limbo opened our brand new sea turtle facility on January 1st in 2010. And then there was an entire area that we utilized, which was spaced underneath the classrooms at Gumbo Limbo, which made a perfect temporary spot for our turtle tanks. And we have currently 12 sea turtle rehabilitation tanks And our patient load varies anywhere between 50 to 100 patients annually, and anywhere from 100 to 1,000 or more hatchlings. So a nice fun chart. We had a large spike of sea turtles treated our first year, and this was due to a cold sun event that occurred across the entire state of Florida. It's not really a true representative of a normal year though, and that dropped off to pretty low number in 2011 when we closed briefly for renovations. So I like to think of 2012 actually as our official normal start, because this is the year we became fully operational and have seen a steady increase in the number of turtles we've treated since. So about 25 turtles we admitted in 2012, all the way up to 75 sea turtle patients we treated last year. So we've literally tripled the number of turtles that we are able to treat without expanding our space. And until recently, patients from juvenile to adults were the primary turtles treated at our rehab facility. But in 2016, we began treating hatchlings under the umbrella of rehab and saw an increase in post-hatchlings turtles that stranded. And this takes our number treated well into the hundreds and occasionally into the thousands every year. And these numbers tend to spike, obviously, for hurricanes and storms. So you've already met me, but I'm only a portion of an amazing team. Dr. Maria Chatham on the top left corner is our sea turtle veterinarian, seen here working on a loggerhead. And she's been part of our team for about 10 years. And Emily Morawski and Caitlin Bovary are basically both my right hands. We are a very small and mighty group, so we all wear many hats. In 2018, we created and implemented the very first sea turtle internship program at Gumbo Limbo. These interns are put through an intense training course, and by the end of their time spent with us, we are very proud of the skills they've accomplished, and we look forward to looking at all of their future amazing adventures in sea turtle biology. And during the off season, we have our sea turtle nesting conservation team. They also help us out in rehab. And we also have some amazing, highly trained sea turtle husbandry volunteers. And you'll find them in our kitchen, preparing food, doing laundry, helping us clean tanks, feed turtles, and interacting with our visitors. So now that I've walked you through a little bit of the history and introduced my team, I'd like to walk you through the types of cases that we see and all the treatments that we employ in our medical facility. First things first, if you find a sick or injured sea turtle, you should call FWC, Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, at the number listed here. Gumbo Limbo Nature Center, we have a 24-hour hotline, or Broward County Sea Turtle Program, and all of our numbers are listed here in this slide. But you really should be prepared to answer some questions. The first question is the turtle dead or alive? That seems silly, but it's a really important question. The next question is, what is the exact location of the animal? Especially if you're out on the water, floating animals are literally a needle in a haystack, so it's always good to stay with the animal if possible. What is the approximate size of the sea turtle? That helps a lot because we need to know what type of gear to take with us when we're going on a rescue. And what is the location of the closest access point to the turtle? Because we can't help it if we can't get to it. So there are three different ways that sea turtles, there are three main ways that sick sea turtles are found. They're found by recreational boaters. Those are fishermen or people out recreating. It could be research groups. They could be found by beach and literally just washed ashore. And sometimes rescues are a community effort, from beachgoers to law enforcement. And we occasionally retrieve turtles by motorized or man-made power vessels. We can get on a kayak. We often hop on people's boats, or like I said, it could be a community effort. Lots of law enforcement helps us. And very sick sea turtles wash ashore with wave action. So this is really the most common way that we find sick or injured sea turtles. They tend to kind of beach themselves and wash up from the waves. And we're thankful to our local law enforcement, our lifeguards, and our community members that help us rescue sea turtles. We often have the police involved. We have the Marine unit involved. This officer on the right is in my car helping me put a loggerhead in the back on my way to work. We have amazing people that are locally here and always want to help save turtles. And just this week, actually, we had a rescue assisted by snorkelers and some lifeguards here in Boca Raton. So we put together a little video. Hopefully you can hear the music. So our lifeguards were alerted about a sea turtle that was in distress by some snorkelers, and we're being on a boat with them. We got the turtle. He's in our rehab right now being treated. Followed several hooks and line. He's really emaciated, but still with us, so hopefully she pulls through. And after sea turtles are rescued, they are admitted to our rehabilitation facility, where we begin with an initial examination to identify and triage all of those injuries. And for every patient, we take they arrive, we're listening for a strong pulsing sound and beat per minute with the turtle's overall health. This is the sound of a sea turtle's heart. Really strong, pronounced. And taking blood on a sea turtle can be tricky, but it's something we do for every patient. It's a way for us to get an inside look of the health of the animal. And we look at chemistries and the complete blood count, looking for structures and types of white and red cells. And this can tell us if the turtle is regenerating red blood cells, like in the process of healing, and help us identify what type of infection they have, so we can prescribe the right types of medications. We often submit blood cultures to look for different types of infections in the bloodstream as well. And we take radiographs or x-rays to look for things like infections in the lungs. We can look for tumors, and there's an example of a tumor to the right, the photograph on the right. We can look for spinal cord damage, like the photo or the radiograph on the left. We look for impactions, and those impactions can be foreign material or natural impaction. And then after diagnostics are complete, we create a medical plan for each patient. Every patient is different. And this includes types of fluid therapy, medications that are prescribed by our vet, and different types of wound care. And we administer a variety of medications. Like I said, it depends on what the turtle's problem is, and each is specific to the turtle's needs. We use as many natural remedies as possible, including honey, which is an antibacterial, antifungal, anti-inflammatory, and it has osmotic properties. We also, this is probably my favorite treatment, we use leech therapy, which helps restore the blood flow to entanglement injuries and helps reduce inflammation. And this therapy has been literally a game changer for us. The percentage of amputations performed is very minimal due to this treatment. What we'll basically do is we'll take a little needle and we'll poke a hole in the flipper that's swollen. That'll allow for all of that excess edema and fluid to get out of the flipper, and then the leech can latch on to a nice blood source. We also use maggot therapy, and that's applied using medicinal maggots. We literally have a company that will overnight us maggots and leeches. And those are put on the wound itself, and then we wrap a stocking around it and then tape that in place so the maggots can't escape. We usually leave it on for about a day, and then we'll recheck it. We might leave it on for 2, maybe even 3 days, and then we'll reapply maggots if needed. And those maggots basically eat and debride and the infected wound, and they disinfect and remove the dead tissue, and basically it turns into a liquid. It is amazing, and it's a natural way of healing a turtle. We do CT scans. They give us a 3D dimensional view of our patients. And the use of CT scans are becoming a more readily available tool to sea turtle rehab centers. And thanks to the Palm Beach vet specialists, we can incorporate CTs into our diagnostics within the first about week of admittance. So this can help us identify more detail of soft tissue damage, organ trauma associated with chronic flotation, and every one of our turtles that have fibropapilloma get a CT scan, because that can really help us visualize whether or not they have internal tumors or not, better than a radiograph. And if the turtle's health is still in question, an endoscopy procedure is prescribed by our veterinarian. And this can help us resolve any unanswered questions that we might need further investigating or confirm concerns from other diagnostic results. So this is a turtle's throat. Here's a video of us using our endoscope with an exploratory procedure on a turtle's throat. We're looking for foreign objects. These little spiky objects are called papilla, and they basically help keep the food from crawling out of the turtle's mouth. It's pretty cool. And the scope just past the glottis, which is the opening to the airway of the turtle. And so speaking of food, a healthy diet is an important part of our sea turtles recovery and rehab. Our staff and volunteers prepare fresh diets daily for our patients, and we can even sneak vitamins into those food items, just like we did to the squid on the right. We've put a lot of different vitamins inside that hides the medication, hopefully for the turtle, so they don't spit it out. And some of the most common food items include squid, fish, different types of fish, shrimp and crab. And we do have fun with turtle food. We use ice blocks as a form of enrichment, which helps these carnivores, like this loggerhead right here, re-strengthen its jaw muscle. And these blocks of ice are made from frozen proteins. But we do use live prey as well. Live prey could be a final test for some of our sea turtles to ensure that they can catch their prey on their own when they're released. And then these sunken salad bars are a perfect enrichment for green sea turtles. They mimic the grazing habits of these sea turtles that they do in the wild. And surgery is a requirement for many patients once they are stabilized. Our veterinarian can perform surgeries such as flipper repairs, hook removals, or amputations. The most common procedure that we perform is tumor removal, and that's to treat turtles with the disease called fibropapilloma. And here's a glimpse into what it looks like during one of our surgeries. And this is a fibropapilloma removal surgery. And Dr. Chatham is taking a blade to remove a tumor off of an eye. So backtracking a bit, let's discuss why turtles are admitted to rehabilitation facilities. There are three main reasons sea turtles are admitted to our center. The first is trauma, and this is typically vessel strikes, but it could mean natural trauma like predator attacks, marine debris, and this is mainly fishing gear, trap line, hooks, and plastic ingestion. And the last reason is disease, and turtles get sick just like you and I do. 85% of our patients are admitted to rehab due to human impacts, such as incidental hook injuries, vessel strikes, fibropapilloma, and entanglements. 85%. Sadly, trauma is one of the top reasons turtles are admitted to rehab. Lacerations, like this turtle on the left, this can be superficial, or these lacerations can actually penetrate the spine or the coelomic cavity, which is the basically sac that holds the organs together, penetrate through that and slice through its organs. Blunt force trauma, like the photograph to the right, these are crushing injuries that can damage many organs from the impact and often penetrate that coelom again, that sac that holds everything together in the turtle, which is often deadly. Often vessel strikes expose internal organs and can be deadly, just like this little juvenile green turtle with its intestines exposed and severed. Sea turtles have few natural predators, but we do admit patients with injuries caused by sharks. You can see the jaw mark on the green turtle to the left, and you can also see the really large couple bite wounds on the loggerhead to the right. So like I mentioned before, sea turtles do get sick just like people do, and we don't always know the cause, but we do know that we can treat the symptoms. There are 17 facilities in the state that treat sea turtles, and we are 1 in 7 that admit turtles with a disease called fibropapillomatosis. This disease affects sea turtles on a global scale. It's related to non-point source pollution. It is contagious. However, the transmission of the virus is unknown. It's debilitating, and it causes growths of these benign tumors, which can inhibit movement, feeding, and vision. And there's a lot of research going on right now to better understand this disease. And so, like I mentioned, fibropapilloma is debilitating, as shown in these photographs. It's a really hard disease to work with because we see firsthand how these turtles suffer. It can limit the range of motion. It can cover the eyes completely, which causes them to be blind. And then when they're blind, they can't find food to eat in the wild, so eventually they starve. And sea turtles can become entangled in trash and discarded line, like this large hawksbill sea turtle on the left. And notice how swollen that flipper is. The flipper is not supposed to look like that. She was swimming in the water and essentially her flipper was just dead weight. Both of these photos are from the same turtle. And fun fact, this was the very first turtle that we tried marine leeches on. And we actually saved her flipper completely. We did not have to amputate, and she was released with all 4 flippers. Entanglements can cause amputations and even become deadly if snagged on the bottom of the reef. Treatments can be quite extensive for these injuries, but luckily they can be released with missing portions of flippers. Some sea turtles can get incidentally captured by hook and line by recreational fishermen. In 2015, Gumbo Limbo Nature Center, Broward County Sea Turtle Program, and the Deerfield Beach International Pier joined the Responsible Pier Initiative to help local fishermen know what to do if they accidentally hooked a sea turtle. Signs like this one are now located on the pier and provide directions and phone numbers to call for help. Even when there are no signs of external injuries and the hook has been easily removed, there may be other hooks internally that require medical attention. Notice the hooks in both of these sea turtles. There's actually 2 hooks in each turtle. They both need medical treatment to remove and pass these hooks. This program has drastically lowered the number of dead turtles found near the pier due to this outreach program. And we finally think that we've connected enough with these fishermen where they know our number, they know Broward's number, and many of them now know that we don't want any harm. We want to help the turtles and that they're not going to get in trouble. So it's turning into be a really positive program. Plastic ingestion is mostly found in our young sea turtle population. In fact, we are seeing plastic in most of our washback sea turtle necropsies performed these days. Sea turtle hatchlings begin their journey with a swim frenzy, basically, to the Gulf Stream current and into the North Atlantic Gyre. They find a sargassum mat for camouflage and food, and they ride this floating nursery for several years. These sea turtles are eating tiny pieces of floating plastic, which causes them to get weak and wash back into shore, giving them the name washback sea turtle. Sea turtles are eating so much plastic that they are starving to death. Plastic is everywhere. It's in the air we breathe, the water we drink, our lands, and our entire ocean. Almost every washback sea turtle we necropsy has ingested some sort of plastic. And here's Emily on the left-hand side doing necropsies on a washback, and there's just a collection of some of the plastic that we found on probably just a small handful of turtles. We know they're eating plastic. We find plastic in their fecal while they're being rehabilitated, or we find it upon necropsy after they've died. Once a young turtle is admitted to our facility, we administer fluid therapy to help hydrate their GI system and help them pass these hard pieces of plastic. And then we let them rest on little hammocks until they're strong enough to swim freely. And if the turtles are healthy enough to survive, the hatchlings and washbacks are always taken back to the offshore sargassum communities where they live. When larger patients are ready for release, we take measurements and complete appropriate forms, and we take final photos to document their recovery process. All turtles, if big enough, get metal flipper tags before release. And this is so we can ID them if they strand again, if they nest, or if they're captured as part of a different scientific research project. And our tags are pretty cool. They actually have GLNC on them with a number sequence. And then on the back, we have our website. So we've had many people be able to identify our turtles right away because of the GLNC, and they'll just call the hotline, and it's a pretty great way to ID them quickly. They also receive a microchip inside the flipper that can be scanned to identify the animal. And this is the same as a cat and dog pit tag. So this type of tag just goes directly underneath the skin. And it's an extra backup way to identify the animal in case they lose their flipper tags. And sometimes we're lucky enough to apply acoustic and/or satellite tags to our patients to learn more about them when they leave us. Satellite tags can tell us where the turtle is in real time, while acoustic tags transmit data to underwater receivers that need to be downloaded at a later time. And releases are what we hope for in every patient. And we release turtles a few different ways. Juvenile turtles are typically walked into the ocean to help them pass the waves. And this is through our County Sea Turtle program, helping us release some of our rehabilitated turtles during the COVID spread. Pass the waves so they have an easier time to clear the ocean. Some of our turtle patients are released publicly, like this adult loggerhead sea turtle. And these types of releases are usually pre-announced, and they can draw a pretty big crowd, sometimes up to 1,000 people. And every once in a while, some patients are released by boat. This amazing turtle had leech and maggot therapy, and before released, we housed her with a satellite tag. She's been transmitting for 596 days, and she lives somewhere between Cuba and south of the Bahamas. So here's her story. So how can you help? Well, first, dispose of all of the trash properly. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's gone. You can get involved in environmental organizations and help with cleanups. You can speak to management at different shopping centers about getting rid of plastic bags. You can just not take the plastic straw. You can skip it. You can use metal or bamboo instead and keep it on you. You can never use balloons, and speak out with courageous conversations to friends and others about the dangers to the environment. And simply, you can just refuse plastics in your daily life and educate your friends about this pledge. Never think that your small contribution doesn't matter, because it does. It all starts with you, one person, taking a stand. And I will end this talk with a patient story. We recently received this loggerhead sea turtle, and she's a great example of the teamwork involved with the effort it takes to rescue and release sea turtles, as well as the impacts that our actions have on marine life. I don't know what happened. Sorry about that. The video stopped. Hold on one second. See if I can get it to play again.
Yeah, I would say go back to the slide and try playing it again. And while she's setting that up, if you guys have any questions, throw it in the chat so she can answer them when it's done.
It's having like technical difficulties. That stinks. Let's see. Maybe I'll give it a second.
Is it on YouTube or something that you could open it up in a separate tab?
Hey, let me try to reopen it. How about that?
That's fine.
Can you guys see me?
You just stopped sharing the screen on my end.
Okay, hold on one second. Let's see if I can get it open again. All right, are you back?
Yes, we could see the first page of the PowerPoint.
All right. Literally gonna have to go through every slide. I'm sorry, guys.
In case you missed it.
Here it is, super fast. Almost there.
Very
Let me go backwards, I don't know. All right, try this again. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. And I wanted to share that story with you guys because it really hits home to me about what we're seeing out in our oceans. I mean, if turtles the size of your hand are eating plastic, all the way up to the size of Zatanna and beyond are eating plastic, we have a real problem. So I wanted to make sure that video played. So thank you all for joining me virtually today. I am honored to be able to work in a career that I'm so deeply passionate about. And I'm truly blessed to be surrounded by coworkers that feel the same way. And I hope everyone is staying safe, and I'd love to answer any of your questions. So that's all I have.
Beautiful. Thank you so, so much, Whitney.
You're welcome.
Questions in the chat, so I'll just read those off to you.
No problem.
So not including hatchlings, which I'm sure you get a lot of during nesting season, do you think you get more juvenile or adult sea turtles in rehab?
Juvenile.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely juvenile. We've got a great population of green turtles right here offshore. So we see our share of green turtles for sure. And the fact that we're 1 in 7 facilities that admits fibropapilloma patients, we see that primarily in little juvenile greens. So we definitely see smaller turtles more often than bigger turtles. And I think every facility is different. Like I know Loggerhead Marine Life Center up the street, I think they see a lot of large turtles because they're close to the power plant. So they get a lot of those sick turtles that are taken into the power plant. Most of those are loggerheads.
That makes sense. Let's see. Oh, how's the research for fibropapilloma vaccine? Could it be applied to each sea turtle that is being rehabilitated?
How can the research be applied to each turtle?
I think just like how far is the research for a vaccine, and is it being applied to?
There's no vaccine. So how we treat them right now is kind of frustrating. We're not treating the problem. We're just treating the tumors on the turtles. The problem being pollution and the devastation that our oceans are in. So what we do is we admit a turtle with fibropapilloma. We get it healthy enough for surgery, and then we will take it to the zoo. We don't have a surgical suite here, so we do all of our surgeries at the Palm Beach Zoo, and we will put it under full anesthesia, and we'll start removing the tumors with our CO2 laser. And then sometimes that's a few surgery process, and the turtles are here with us a couple months to, I'd say no more than 6 months or so. And then we release them tumor-free. That doesn't mean that they're not going to grow tumors back in the wild, because we've definitely had turtles that we've released restrand with FP. It's kind of it's the only way we know how to handle it at this point. And like I did mention, there's tons and tons of research. We are affiliated with FAU. They just, they're still undergoing a study here with the effects of UV light and the healing process of sea turtles with fibropapilloma. There's a lot of different things we can be doing and should be doing more of with the research on fibropapilloma.
Wow, okay. Does the satellite tag wear off, and would it be pollution when it wears off? Oh, yes.
Good question. Yes, it does fall off, and yes, it is pollution, but I think the gain that we get from those tracking, the tracking information outweighs the small amount of discarded trash that we leave behind. We hope to get at least a year or more out of the larger turtles. Smaller turtles, they don't keep their tags on that long. But I do know there's other research groups that do recapture their animals, and they are able to remove the tags and reuse them. So.
Very cool. How do sea turtles react to crowds during announced releases? Do you find it causes any additional stress for the animal or caretakers? Do you have any suggestions on etiquette?
I think that sea turtles get really excited when they smell the ocean. I think they are on a one-track mind. They see the ocean, they smell it, get me out of here, get me away from people, and get me back in the ocean. I think that's all they're thinking about. And we make sure we keep them safe. I mean, we keep the crowds under control, and we have a whole process where we have a corridor set up, and we have people that are making sure people don't interfere. We keep a clean line to the ocean. So.
Okay. Does it hurt when they put the maggots on and cover them?
That's a good question. I can answer the question on whether or not it hurts for leeches to be put on, because I have put a marine leech on me, mostly to heal a sprain, but also to see what the turtles go through. And you can feel them bite, and you do bleed for hours. And the maggots, I've not tried that yet. I don't wish to try that, but I can tell you that the tissue the maggots are on is completely dead. So I wouldn't think that they could really feel much, because it's dead tissue that they're eating away at. It's only helping them heal.
Do you take before and after pictures? I think again for the maggots.
We do.
Oof.
We do, and I have some. They're pretty awesome.
Oh, very cool. If we want to share those one, or you could go. Do you post it on your website because people can head over there?
I don't know. Could I share it with you guys and then you could share it?
Yeah,
I'd have to search around for them.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, and how do you name the turtles? Do you have a strategy?
Yes, I do. I'm writing myself a note to share maggot pictures with you guys. I love that somebody wants to look at my maggot pictures. We have a naming theme, so we change the theme all the time. We didn't used to, but it got, like, I would run out of names. And so, and also it helps with our organization on our patient files, so we can keep track of how many turtles we've had in the year. So we go A through Z, and we have a theme for every time we finish the alphabet. So now we're on drinks. So we've just had apple juice and boba tea, and now we're on C.
Very nice. You just go through the whole alphabet?
Yeah, we'll finish that through Z, and then we'll kind of all group together and come up with another theme.
Oh, that's so cute. This is just my question. Do you wait a certain amount of time to name them? Like,
no,
we
name them as soon as they come in, because we have a whole process we go through with patient records, and we have to put information about them in our all of our computer systems and stuff. So we name them right away. Once they're admitted as a patient, they get a name.
Do they get a serial number, or is that only when they get the fin clips?
So they get the stranding ID. So that's whoever fills out the stranding form for Florida Fish and Wildlife, and then that follows them forever. Then they get a name, and then they don't get their tags or anything until they're ready to be released.
Okay. For the naming, have you named any of your turtles Haley?
Actually, yeah, we have had a Haley before. I think it was a little green turtle several years ago.
Very nice. Do you think that one's still like trackable on your website somewhere? I think Haley would like to look up Haley.
We are in the process of putting all of our previous patients on the website. I do not know if Haley is in there, but I can, well, whoever's asking the question can actually check it out and find out.
Yeah, Haley, head over to the Gumbo Limbo website, see if you could find all that information about Haley. Does anyone else have any questions? That's the last one I see in the chat. I know some people might have been sending them to Christina, but she got kicked out at one point. I don't know if they saved for her. But I think that's it. Oh, when a person calls to give you a hurt turtle, do you give them details about what happens to them?
Yes, of course, anytime. Usually I just give them my cell phone number, or they have it because they've already called the line. And I'll just tell them to check back in with me either the following day or give it a week. Usually we have a better idea. If a turtle's made it through day 1, all right, that's its first step. And then if a turtle makes it through, I'd say the first week, then I can really get a better picture of whether or not it's going to make it, or if it's just, you know what, this is a day-by-day turtle. But I always love to follow up with the rescuers. Absolutely.
Very nice. What kind of research does Gumbo Limbo do with rehabilitated turtles?
So we have an online satellite tagging project that was started in 2014, I believe. And we've tracked, I think, 24 or 25 turtles so far. And that is to give us a better idea of what sea turtles do after they leave rehab, so that we can make the best management decisions possible. We're also hoping to collaborate on a larger scale project with that, comparing some of those tracks with wild-caught turtles. We are affiliated with a few different like hematology research projects from different groups. We always, if anyone needs samples, we're always quick to say, yes, of course, we'll give you samples as long as it's permitted. We're doing a plastic ingestion study with the Whitney lab right now on all of our small turtles that have passed. What else do we have? We are doing a really cool project with those acoustic tags that I showed you. We're comparing the tracks of our rehab turtles with wild-caught turtles to see if they have any difference in preference of habitat selection, and just to get a better idea of what our juvenile green turtles are doing in our backyards here. What else do we do? We're affiliated with FAU, of course. Like I said, some of the fibrocopolymer research. That's all I can think of right now.
I have a question for the FP patients. Do you have to completely have separate areas of the facility because it is contagious?
So some places are set up like that. Ours is a little different. We have every tank plumbed individually, so there's no back feeding and in any of our tanks, so that we can, to me, it's much better because I don't have set aside places just for non-FP and FP, which helps me when I'm talking to management like Florida Fish and Wildlife. It's easier for me to move things around. We also have everything separated. Red is FP, green stuff is non-FP, and it's very placed well throughout the facility. We're very careful. We wash our hands all the time. We have foot baths. So that's how our place is set up.
How many turtles do you get yearly? I'm planning on watching the turtles on my beach hatch. If one's hurt, should I call you?
Sure, obviously. Yes, please call all the time. I just got a call this morning about a nesting turtle that was stuck in the dune. Yes, always call us if you're here local. Call Broward if you're further south. Call Fish and Wildlife if you don't know who to call. And what was the first question? How many turtles we get?
Yes.
Okay, we get, it really depends on the year. Like right now with everything crazy happening, we've had kind of a slower last few weeks. But typically we'll get anywhere from 50 to 60 is probably our minimum per year, up to 100 turtles in a year. And that's just juvenile to adult patients. That doesn't count the hatchlings and washbacks, because those can go from the hundreds to the thousands. We've had, when there were some crazy storms a few years ago, we transferred in and admitted like 3,000, I think, hatchlings.
That's
very busy.
If I see a baby turtle heading towards the ocean, but it gets caught or an animal is going to eat it, am I allowed to save it, or is it illegal to touch them?
You should always call Florida Fish and Wildlife or a facility like Gumbo Limbo or Broward before you touch a sea turtle, period, end of story. You don't want to get yourself in a situation where you can get in trouble for touching a sea turtle, even if you're trying to do the right thing. So always call first. But yes, if there is something that a turtle is doing that it looks like it's either entangled or it's going the wrong direction, as long as you call first, so that you're put in a safe position, the permitted facility will guide you into the correct thing to do.
Very cool. I think that was our last question for now. Okay. Very good questions, guys. Thank you for coming here today, and thank you so much, Whitney, for the awesome presentation.
You're welcome. This was awesome.
Yeah, that was crazy. We did record this, so if you happen to miss the beginning of this, we're gonna edit it a little bit just to cut out the beginning and end, and then post it to our YouTube. So keep an eye on our YouTube account. Otherwise, next Tuesday at 1 p.m., we have Dean Grubbs coming to tell us about his sawfish research. So a little bit of a shift from the turtles, but it should be really cool. Otherwise, yeah, if you think of any questions, feel free to email us at meek@nova.edu. If we cannot answer them, we will pass them off to Whitney because she knows all of the things. Thank you very much for coming today, guys. Thank you, Whitney.
You're so welcome. Everyone stay safe. Thanks for having me.
Have a good one, guys.